the psychology of adding to winning trades. Hi, so Charlie giving you Tuesdays/Wednesdays video. I'm recording this actually Tuesday afternoon, so this is a chart of the euro dollar there, and that's how it was looking here on Tuesday at the point that I'm recording this. Very flat on the euro dollar there at the moment. So adding to winning trades. Many of you know the principles behind adding to winners, but let's go through a scenario with you. So let's say you've got into a trade down here, and the trade's had a good run. It's had a good run, and you've got to a certain profit target. Let's say. So let's say there's a certain profit target level here where you want to bank a third or a half of your trade, because you've got in down here. It's had a good run to here, so let's say you take a third off, just for argument's sake, because you're at this point, and then so you want to bank some, but you've got an overall target right away up here, somewhere up the top here. So rather than risk it, I say risk it, but if it rolls all the way over, then you make nothing from the trade. At least this is sort of paid for the trade, so to speak, if it rolls all the way over. So then it pulls back, does a deep retrace. Your stop loss, I don't know, let's say it's down here still, does a deep retrace, doesn't stop you out because you haven't moved your stop to break even maybe. And maybe it needed to do that deep retrace based on, if I actually put this here, this is the actual move. You've got in about here. So then it starts coming back up. So you've banked a third and it starts coming back up. And what a lot of traders will do is they'll just say, right, once it comes up a certain amount, this is a classic sort of thing. This is what I would do. Once it's come up a certain amount here, it's done its deep retrace. You knew there were some levels that it might want to come back down to. You then move your stop up to here. So let's say that is break even. So you now moved your stop to break even. So you're now in what we call, I hate using the word, but a risk-free trade. But I'm going to use it anyway. If any of you don't understand why I don't like using the word risk-free trade, do ask on the questions and the comments box, and I'll explain on that. But anyway, so you're now at break even. And this is, let's say, a prime time. It's bounced, it's come down to your key level, it's satisfied that level there, it's bounced, so we can see that it's satisfied and it's respecting that level. You've already banked a third up here, let's say. You've got your stop to break even, so you cannot lose on the trade now. And you've got a third of the position was banked. So what a lot of people will do is just sit on the trade, and then if it carries on going all the way back up and it gets to that, eventually up to that profit target up here, then they come out with the rest of their 2/3 up here. Okay, that's fair enough. But what happens is the psychology of adding to a trade, because somewhere around here, let's say for argument's sake, somewhere around this point, you could add in. Okay, so you could add a third of your position size back in at this point. So, but people don't actually want to do it because they feel comfortable about the fact that they've now got their stop at break even, they've banked a third or maybe a half up here, whatever it was, and so they now can't lose. Whatever happens, they've at least made some money. And so this is the psychology, because if you add another third back in and then put a stop back down here with your other stops, now you're at risk of giving back effectively that third you took over here. So but the benefit is if you add this third in, instead of just running the remaining 2/3 all the way up to here, maybe you've got another target even higher up that you can run this third to, or even just running this third to this level as well. So the difference is, I just went through this scenario earlier on today in our trading room where it could have added another 1R to the overall trade. So the overall trade that I was discussing with them had the potential to be just over a 2R. It turned a 2R trade into a 3R trade, which is adding another 50%. And that was just by adding a third back in. But of course, people psychologically don't want to do it because they're comfortable now. They're looking at their P&L. And this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Because we're willing to go and look at another market and then find another trade elsewhere, when in actual fact there's a market right in front of us that we're already in a trade on, that we now all of a sudden don't feel comfortable with. So we no longer feel comfortable adding into this, and yet we'll go to an entirely different market and put a fresh trade on. How bizarre is that? And so if you've got a piece of analysis where you're in a trade and it's got I say a much, but a target which is still fair way away, do at least consider the potential, however the chart looks. At what point could you add into the trade? It might be that you've not taken a third off back here, or a different looking chart, and it's just that you've got to a point where your stop is at break even. Once your stop's at break even or been moved up, there's the potential to make more out of the trade. In this scenario, that stops at break even, bank to third. Why do I need to even add a third? I could put another 1R at risk here. I could put a full size position on here. And this is what I went through with the guys in the trading room. And then all of a sudden you're turning a 2R not into a 3R, but into a 5R trade in this scenario that I was going through with the traders earlier today. So all of a sudden you've taken what was a vanilla 2R trade into a potential 5R trade, just by utilizing the analysis that you've got, but not just getting settled because you've now got your stop to break even and it's like, phew, I can just ride that one out. Now I'm going to go and look at some other markets and see if I can put some fresh trades on elsewhere, when in actual fact you could be building your position on here. We're all culprits of it. This sort of thing where we get comfortable, we're in a trade, our stop's been moved up and we don't add anything more to it. We're all culprits of that. But when you do have that analysis, do make sure that you ask yourself these questions to say, oh, actually, well, I know that I'm comfortable at the moment, and psychologically I don't want to turn this winning trade back into a losing trade by adding a new position into it. But in fact, all I'm going to do is go elsewhere and find a new trade, which might then go and lose. But at least I'm trading a market which is so far satisfying the analysis that I have on that market. So why not milk that trade for more than I was otherwise going to do? There you go. Some food for thought for you there today on the mindset, the psychology around adding to trades, because most people don't want to do it because they get comfortable and they're looking at their P&L. What they should be doing is focusing on that process, and if the process of that analysis on that particular trade is it's working the way that we want it to be working, can you get to a point where you can actually add? Does that add in work out on a risk reward basis, yada yada yada, and in which case make more from the winning trades you're in rather than having to go and find necessarily other markets. Food for thought for you today. Have a look at some of your trades that you've been in which have been nice winning trades, and say to yourself, what could I have actually added to this trade? And if I had have added, what difference would it have made to my trade? So just have a look back, have a look through your trading journal, go back over some of the winning trades which have been bigger winners, which you've just ridden beautifully, but that you never added to. Nothing wrong with not adding to it, but it's just as an exercise to say, oh yeah, maybe this is something that on some trades, not all, you don't want to be trying to add into every single winning trade you're in. It's got to be on those winning trades where the targets are still quite far away, but you've already got to a point where your stop's moved up, and it's those types of trades where they're presenting evidence to you that those markets might want to go higher, that you might actually say, yeah, okay, this is one of those trades that I could add to. Okay, right, I shall leave that with you. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll do a video for you at the weekend. Kim's doing Friday live trading this week, so I'll see you on Saturday. Take care for now.